So now we're getting into venue posters that they're not tour posters. They're just for the venue in like Air Canada, Massey Hall, and other local venues. So Bob Dylan spent about a month in Toronto. And here's one of his venues. Here's the other one at Oaks Gardens Theatre at Niagara Falls, and then the Phoenix and Cool House. So these posters aren't worth that much, but because they're local venues and local clubs, the bar owners or the people from the clubs, they want them because it's rare that Dylan plays clubs. So
right.
Not much value in them except coolness.
Yeah, they're probably
the bar.
worth $30, $40 each.
Yeah. Okay. E Street Band, kind of a funky velvet type poster that Bruce made. Pretty good. I don't know how much it's worth.
$100.
Air Canada. Like it's from his early days. The Cars, you and me were at that show at the Sound Academy.
Yeah.
Rare Things, small theater down by the Lakeshore area.
Of course, Rick's gone now, so there'll be no more Cars posters.
So what do you think that Cars poster is worth?
Probably only $50 because it's not from the days.
Yeah.
Like if you have them from when they paid CNE and stuff, they're worth a lot more.
Right.
Because those are the heyday. This is like them just getting together to make some money.
Okay. This was one of Gilmour's better concerts when he decided to play like a Pink Floyd guy at Air Canada in 2016.
Great poster, great look to it.
And that was an awesome concert. So, but sometimes he played, like I seen him at Massey Hall and stuff, and he didn't really play enough Pink Floyd, but here he brought all the Pink Floyd toys and lights and screens down. It was a great concert. Edgefest on the Molson's Park.
That happened many years, Edgefest.
Yeah. It's so poster, but
other years are bigger.
Molson's.
One year was Pearl Jam and Neil Young, which was much bigger.
Right.
That was one of the first Edgefests.
Okay. We'll click to the next one. Okay, now this poster, which you see right here, it's worth a fair amount.
Yeah, it's a rare poster.
Because it's the CNE, during the CNE heydays.
These were never sold.
Yeah, they were never sold. They were just put out at record stores like Sam the Record Man or by the CNE, so they were hard to find. I got these kind of through friends at CPI.
Yeah.
So, but what do you think that poster is?
$250.
Right. And the next one is this one. This was a great concert. It was the heyday of Fleetwood Mac, 1978, I think, with Boss Skaggs and Lenny Collins. But Fleetwood Mac were in their heyday. This was their big album. And
I have this poster, but mine's in sort of a pinkish color.
yeah, well, this
is more brown.
Kind of the sun wore the.
Oh, you think it's the sun that did that? See, that yours isn't in perfect condition. It's a $300-$400 poster. In that condition, maybe $100 or $80.
But they're rare posters. You won't find these. And a lot of people that are into exhibition or the CNA like to try to find these posters. Okay, there's a couple of these Simcoe stopover posters when
Mumford and Son.
Mumford
they were
and Son
famous for.
came.
They did a lot of elaborate things with the. You'd get your passport and everything. They had some sort of neat collectibles, but everyone got them. And Mumford and Son, I don't know, they were almost a bit of
over at Simcoe.
They're a bit of a fad. They were really big, and now they're not quite as big. It was almost going to be like a Grateful Dead for younger people, they thought, but I'm not sure if it'll end up.
And this one, they went to the Simcoe Fairground and had 40,000 people there at that show. And the next one is a good one because it's Fogarty at Massey Hall, which was a rarity in a small venue.
On the bike, that's a great view.
Always sells well, those type of posters. And I think I have a few more Massey Hall posters next. Kings of Leon.
Again,
October.
not worth a lot.
Yeah.
$20, $30. This is famous because it's the last show at the El Macombo.
Yeah.
Before they closed it and renovated. It was closed for years and years and years.
Right.
And it's also signed by the band, which is...
It's hard to see, but it has the band.
Yeah, McKenna Mendelssohn Mainline, which was a popular Canadian band
Don't Give
back
Me
in
No
the day.
Goose for Christmas Grandma song.
Yeah.
Like
so,
that.
It's probably $300-$400 because it is the closing of an iconic venue.
Right. Madonna, venue, station. So they were only printed in Air Canada, maybe a couple hundred made.
Yeah,
and,
that's... I don't know. That could be worth a couple $100. I haven't seen that poster before.
There's actually two of them. There's one for the 19th and one for the 18th.
Oh, a different image?
They're just a little different. Yeah, at first you think they're the same, but they're a little bit different.
This isn't the one she got arrested. No, this is a later one. Yeah. She was arrested at the first one for, pornography or something
like that. I think the next one, famous one, Air Canada, but it's Paul McCartney.
Yeah.
And a limited edition.
Yeah, that one's out of 100. So
you're
going to get a lot more money when something is numbered like that. So that could be worth a few $100s.
Okay. And there's another Paul McCartney, but
that
it's not
one's
numbered.
not numbered, and so it's probably $50.
Yeah. So Paul Simon's at Massey Hall. Really funky looking poster. I don't know what it's worth, but it's still Massey Hall.
$40, $50. Paul Simon just isn't as highly collectible right now.
So this Pink Floyd poster was put in the history of Pink Floyd's program.
So they
books.
reproduced it put in
They
the
make
book.
these little thick books about the history of the band with passes, tickets, and posters. And Pink Floyd loved this show so much they put a mini poster of it. But this is the real poster. It's bigger. It's a different pink color. And I had to rip it off the subway wall at the Olympic Stadium because
they never sold them.
No, they
it'd be
never
worth
sold them.
$1,500 in nice condition. This one's obviously beat up. Even in that condition, it's probably worth $200-300.
Yeah, because it's a famous event that never.
And it's a great, just the image with the big pig flying over, and because they did have the inflatable
that pig fly over on
and it
the
was
stage.
actually a blimp.
Yes, and it had little motor controls on there, so it was really good. Now, if you go to the next poster, you show the real one. So the thing about this party was 1/3 were Americans, 1/3 were Canadians from Ontario, and 1/3 were from French. So it was like a huge party for 3 groups of people out just having a good time. And Quad at Olympic Stadium was unbelievable. All right. And this is the Pink Floyd show at the C&E, which was a limited poster made by the ticket outlet. So
yeah, and this one just is for the second show.
Yeah. And you had to go to the ticket outlet to steal it because they didn't make posters. So they would have sold a lot of them. But it was just more a historical event.
Probably $150 for that because anything Floyd's very collectible.
All right. And then, of course, Roger Waters on the wall.
Now, this one he sold. There was quite a few of those sold. And I think the same image was done in other cities. They just put the different venue down there, right? So it's a $100 poster.
And, of course,
that's one of the numbered ones from Girls Creek.
$229.
A lot of people are looking for that because they didn't play Canada on their last tour.
Right.
So this is the last time they played Canada.
And the last time with the
Charlie
drummer.
Watts.
Yeah. So
that's probably $150.
Casino Rama with Santana. I think we had that one before.
I don't know, $50 for that.
Okay. The last show of 2003, Old Friends, Air Canada, Simon and Garfunkel. So
again, that's $50. There aren't as many Simon and Garfunkel collectors around, and if they are, they want the stuff from the heyday, like from the 60s, early 70s.
Okay, this one right here, Supertramp. As you can see, Breakfast in America. It's another C&E poster. The C&E posters always have demands.
No, I had the one that has brown on it and different. Mine's colored.
Yeah, yours is colored. This is a different one. But this one's more says Exhibition Stadium presented by Chum. Yours, I think, was more the tour.
Oh, it had the Canadian dates.
Yeah.
That's
so
right.
as you can see, it just says the 2 Canadian dates.
That's just for the 2 shows.
There.
So this is made to sell tickets.
Right.
Mine was more the tour poster.
Tour poster, right. U2 at Rogers Center.
They make a lot of that stuff.
There's a lot of U2 posters. They did it twice. But it's a good C&E poster, and that's
another one.
The V one at Air Canada. Virgo poster. Same with this one. Now, these posters, though, they're limited. They only make 100 to 500 posters. At the C&E, they might make 1,000, or, the Sky Dome. But they're all limited posters.
Now, this one's done after because it got sold out. Right. So maybe closer to show date.
Yeah.
Because they're not sold out when they first announce it, obviously. Right. So.
Okay, next one there. My favorite band, The Who, in Air Canada, 2006, Air Canada venue. Again, limited number of posters for that. If you're a Who fan, they're always in demand. And that was, I just put this one up. It's not worth much, but it shows, it's always the final show for The Who.
But that does that go back to those original 2 final shows? I think
this was, I think, the C&E final supposedly show, and
right.
Molson's paid for it to be done and just gave them out, really.
So it almost became a joke to put final shows on.
Yeah, exactly. And, of course, the Quadrophenia show. This, you had to be a member from the Who Club to get this one, because there was a limited edition.
Fan club.
And something signed.
It's signed by the artist, I guess.
Yeah, right. I think I have it. And then 94 Socrates. This was original poster of the Woodstock show.
Of the second Woodstock,
And the next one is... okay, so now we're going into a couple of rare posters where only a couple of bands got together and played and toured. This one you see The Doors and Steppenwolf. It's a really old one.
Is it a real poster from the day? Or is
I don't think it's a real poster from the day.
Because some are made up after the fact to make it look like they are from them. I mean, a 68 Doors poster, that could be worth a few $1,000s if that was a real poster.
I think that's a copy of it. But the other next ones, when we go to the next ones, they're real. This was a really good show. Don and Michael and Boz. Steely Dan, Doobie Brothers, and Boz Scaggs. These three guys got together and did a rare Dukes of September tour and only played a one-time show. You'd never probably see these three guys again.
Yeah, I see Toronto in there.
Yeah. So it's a rare,
it's
unusual
a one-off.
Yeah, one-off tour. I don't know what it's
$100.
worth. Yeah. And then, of course, the famous Billy Joel face-to-face tour. It's worth something, as you can see right here, and more because you got two big bands.
It's not venue-specific, though. It's for the whole tour.
Right, but it's a double Elton John, Billy Joel, which you'll never see this poster or these groups again because they'll never probably play together
Probably
again.
$150 for that.
Yeah. Okay. Eric Clapton, Jeff Beck. This is like a black light kind of poster that they put together, and it was a rare one. Eric did like 5 dates here, and that was it with Jeff Beck.
Right.
So I don't know what that one's worth, but over 100, I would think.
Yeah, just over 100 maybe.
And it's a really good graphic poster. If you see it, it's kind of like a black light poster.
Is this signed by the artist, I guess?
Yeah. That made it for them, but that's about it. All right. Quadrophenia, they only played a few shows, but this is the ones where when Quadrophenia came out, Billy Idol always came and joined the show to play singing in the Quadrophenia movie. Because I think wasn't Billy Idol in the movie of Quadrophenia?
I don't know, but I saw him do it with them, the Quadrophenia. I don't think he was. Sting was in it.
Yeah. All right, so let's go. This one.
No, that's just one band.
This is a weird poster because look at this one and then go to the second one. Okay, and then go back to the other one. This was one poster where Phil Collins put two pictures on both sides of
really?
the poster.
I haven't seen
and it was
one like
stupid
that.
Because when you buy it, you hang it on the wall, you know there's another picture on the other side. So what I did is I bought two posters. So I could put one on one side and one on the other side. So it was a weird, no one's ever done those type of double posters before, and I don't even know why he did it, But that was unusual. And then, of course, the double Sting and Annie Lennox tour, rare one. Cause
Eurythmics and the Police.
Yeah. And then Sting and Peter Gabriel tour. And the reason they did this, paper, scissors, and hands, that before the tour started, or the day started, they do paper, scissors, hands, see who started first.
Oh, yeah.
One day it would be Peter Gabriel, one day it would be Sting. So that's kind of how that paper, scissors, hands came out there. These are some unusual rock and roll posters that are worth something because they're more kind of special events or movie posters. These are real concerts at the Fillmore, but this was filmed by the Bill Graham Group. And notice they have restricted. 18 years under can't go see this concert because rock and roll was still considered.
Well, they were swearing and whatever probably, right, back in the day.
So the posters were something, and especially that they added the restricted thing because if you under 18,
was that a sticker just put on top?
Yeah, put on the poster saying,
which really helps show it's original.
Yeah,
when you actually see the restricted stuck on it.
I know, and
it's probably $150 poster.
All right.
Now this one, I know a little bit about this. That's on cardboard.
Yeah.
But there's only 4 or 5 of these made. This is an actual show poster.
Yep.
And how you know that, there's some famous photos that are around and they're everywhere, so don't pay a lot for them. Whoever has the original negative continues to make them. But they show the Beatles doing the press conference just before their first show at Maple Leaf Gardens in the Hot Stove Lounge, which was a club inside Maple Leaf Gardens. And right behind them on the wall is one of these posters. You can see these pictures of the Beatles, and you see that on the wall. And so I think there was maybe 4 of those. They're probably worth north of $50,000.
Yeah. This isn't the real
if
one.
You
It's
get some of the real historic posters. I mean, the Mickey Mantle card sold for $12 million. So to have a poster be worth $100,000, $200,000 isn't that uncommon. I mean, it can happen, but you have to be the real iconic ones. And these would have been kept in great shape because they were just used at the venue, and they're all in perfect condition. But anything Beatles is a whole level above other rock and roll bands.
And you can see he advertised 2 shows here, but the Beatles didn't know there were 2 shows. So that was the funny part.
Until they got there.
Yeah. All right.
And they said, we're not going to play. We're only playing 1 show. And he said, the owner of the Gardens at the time, Harold Ballard, one of the management team and owner, told him that you go out and explain that to the 15,000 screaming girls out in the street that you're not playing. So obviously they played both shows.
Right. Now this one, for us in Toronto, it's a Kingswood poster. It's an end of a great venue.
And it's the season long. These are seasonal venues that are outdoor venues, so they put the whole season on one poster.
And they put them out at the beginning of summer all over the place to tell you all the bands that were playing there. Right. A really good show there for me was Moody Blues.
Yeah, Don Henley, Crosby, Stills, Nash. There's lots of... I probably went to good, 7 or 8 of those shows. Steve Miller, I remember seeing him there.
But it's a rare venue poster that people look for because there aren't many posters like this that exist.
No, that one's rarer than the CNE ones because the CNE was a major sort of festival every year anyways, the Canadian National Exhibition. But this was just for the Wonderland, which is where Kingswood was located.
So what do you think that might be worth?
Probably 100 to 150. I mean, if it had a killer act on it like Rolling Stones, I see Chicago closed it. But what happens is there actually was probably another half dozen great concerts at that, but they printed this at the start of the season. Right. So somebody would go, well, I went on August 23rd and I saw, I saw Bob Seger there, but I don't see him on. That's because he was added after the fact, so it didn't make the first poster.
People like this one because it's just like old Maple Leaf Garden posters that don't. Maple Leaf Gardens doesn't exist anymore.
Graphics.
Kingswood doesn't exist anymore, notes. So people like it for history.
Yeah. Well, it exists, but they're not hosting shows.
Yeah. Okay. This is an old one from Maple Leaf Gardens. It's actually a copy, but it just, like your Motown poster.
I don't know if this one actually exists. And if it did, it would be worth a lot of money. I suspect it doesn't. They made a lot of these after the fact just because it was a similar style of poster for every date on the tour. So they probably took off and said, well, they played Maple Leaf Gardens, so we're going to do that. Now, Elvis, who only ever played outside of the U.S. a couple of times. He played in Canada twice. The only other time he played, I think he played in Germany, but it wasn't a ticketed event because he was in the Army and he did something. So he played, I believe, 1957 at Maple Leaf Gardens. If you had a poster from that, it'd be worth $100,000 or more, possibly.
The good thing about this one, if you went to it, you saw like 8 really good bands. The Drifters, Elvis, Everly Brothers, Chuck Berry, Fats Domino, Frankie.
Buddy Holly.
Yeah, so it was a good one for history collection, 1958. So,
obviously the Buddy Holly was gone, and when the crash happened, right? So this would be, I think that was the next year, maybe 59. Well, it might have been even that year. I can't remember if it was later in that year.
Yeah, okay, we'll go to the next one. I like this poster a lot because it's the old days of the CNE. If you're in this area, you knew this was a good poster exhibition. You can see the wooden roller coaster there that made the CNE famous for almost 80 years before they tore it down.
No, I bought one of this, and it's not blank back. It's all stories on the back. Is yours like that?
I can't remember. I think it's blank.
Oh,
okay. But, Elton John was the big act, and Whitney Houston.
Loverboy was big at the time, and Bill Cosby. We don't have him touring anymore. That's what you don't
he's
really
getting free room and board. Huey Lewis was great, too. And Stevie Nicks, she was coming off of Fleetwood Mac of some big hits.
Judas Priest. So there's some popular bands there.
But it's a rare poster, 86, made for Exhibition Stadium by Molson's, because you couldn't buy these posters.
Well, this is during the fair. They have a big fair there every year, and these are the acts that played during the fair. They do something similar in Milwaukee called Summerfest, and they'll have a poster they put out with all the acts.
And these weren't for sale, and not many were made, so I don't know what it's worth.
Well, they weren't for sale, but I own bars in the city of Toronto, and we would get these. Molson would bring them in. The Molson rep would bring them in, and you could put them up on the wall of the bars because it's sponsoring. That's a brand of beer that's made here in Canada. It's actually sold in the States as well, but Molson Canadian. So it was a point of sale promotion for the bars as well to put posters like that up.
All right. Okay, this is famous concerts that happened in England several times. I was kind of lucky to find this poster.
And this is the movie about it.
Yeah. The Secret Policeman's Ball. A lot of bands. I think Prince Charles hosted it. You can see by the pictures of the faces, Mighty Python was there, The Who was there, Sting was there, a lot of Phil Collins. So it was a really good poster. I think that's the AC/DC boys up there. I'm not sure. But anyway, it's a rare show poster from, hosted by Mighty Python to do these concerts.
Being a movie poster, especially what happens with a lot of these, of course, they come out at the time as a movie, and then they bring out VHS, then they bring out Beta, then they're putting it on disc. So they keep re-releasing. It goes, new Kickoff, and Blockbuster would make, which is bankrupt, obviously, but they made millions of posters. So some of these are heavily overproduced. If it's not one of those, it could be worth maybe $100, but Blockbuster tended to put out a lot of posters for some of this stuff.
So just before we end up our poster thing, we're going to just show you some of the worst posters, because some posters were just terrible. So this one is Lady Gaga, and I don't know what's in with Lady Gaga, but she looks like she's beat up.
It's a monster's ball, I think.
So she had to look like she's ugly or something, so I thought it was a stupid poster anyway. It looked sad. The next one.
Miley Cyrus.
Yeah, like it's a
that
weird
was the poster from the show?
Yeah, it was a poster from the show, and I couldn't believe Miley Cyrus would make a poster like that, but she did. And then the next one,
especially a lot of kids go to young kids were following her
at that time.
That's sort of a weird one to have hanging in your room.
And she's a Disney character, right? And she made this one up. Maybe it's
Hannah Montana.
MK Ultra programming from Disney. Who knows? So I call this one a weird one because maybe Peter Gabriel knew something about COVID in 2011 and did this new blood poster, but it was like a weird poster.
Peter's been getting a little weird. The last time I saw him, I swear he came out and played the show in his pajamas.
Oh. Yeah.
He came out and we saw him backstage, and he's wearing like a weird getup. We go, I don't know, it's like a bathrobe, getting ready. He came out, he played the show in that. He's a different guy.
Not even a good looking poster, but new blood, weird. Anyway, we'll go to the next one. And I'm disappointed in Ringo Starr because, look at this. I liked it because it mentioned the venues, but what a terrible design. Ringo could have done better. The only reason it sold is because he was a Beatle.
Yeah.
Otherwise, no one would buy that poster.
For sure.
And then the Reptilians, Taylor Swift and her snake poster, part of the
stadium.
Weird situation with Taylor Swift and all these other artists with the Reptilian. I didn't think it was a good one with snakes. But anyway, that's about it. So this poster here, 1972 concert, the Great Western Express. A couple of years after Woodstock, they had about 80,000 people north of England on this concert. And this one is just 1/4 of the bands that played here. If you see on this list, they had Humble Pie, Sha
Is this actually a poster as well?
No, it was the flyer that they gave you.
Like a handbill.
A handbill. But you can see all the other bands. Genesis was there, Atomic Vinegar, Atomic Rooster, Jackson Height, Sha Na Na, Genesis, Lindside, Slade, Stones, or like Stone Crows, not the Rolling Stones, Roxy Music, Locomotive, Nathers, and then Buddy Miles, Royal Gallagher. So it was a huge Woodstock concert for the English people because you would never find a 4-day concert like this. It was at the end of May. Banker's Holiday was sort of like the
So it
Victoria
seems
Day.
like these are supposedly just the headliners, but there's some bands up above that became much bigger later.
Yes.
These bands, like Rory Gallagher's not as famous as Genesis, but he's listed as a headliner.
Right.
So this was just the headliners. This is every band.
Yeah. And it was a huge concert. So, and with a good train logo and stuff like that. But that was one of the big Woodstock concerts. Now, one of the other posters that are worth a lot.
These are the famous rock and roll movies
Rock
that were
and
all
roll
coming out in the
movie posters,
mid-60s.
as you can see. So, really good graphics, pictures of all the artists and stuff. So, this poster, I don't know, what do you think it's worth?
Well, I've got the same poster as well. Yours is in really nice shape, I would say, in that condition. Now, it does have the folds because they would mail this out. This was only given to the movie theaters, and they would mail them out to them. So they'd mail them in 11 by 14 envelopes. They have to fold. In the day back then, they didn't roll them. They folded them. So you're always going to have creases, unfortunately. And most of these posters that you see will always have creases in them. But in this nice a condition, it's probably $300, $400, or $500.
And the good part, if you get the album with this poster, it sells more 'cause the album.
The album
is a good music
I haven't
track.
seen the album, but it's a great looking album with that cover. So the album's probably worth $50 to $100.
Right. Okay, folks, that's it for posters. Hey, Glenn.
Wolf, how you doing, buddy?
Good. I brought you a whole bunch of more rock and roll stuff to show you. And as I told you before, when you have over 10,000 rock and roll items, this is the place, Glory Day Collectibles, that you bring your stuff to find out what it's worth, whether it's passes, tickets, t-shirts, programs, posters, and other rock and roll memorabilia. Glenn's group, they analyze it. They tell you whether it's a real autograph, a fake autograph, a good poster, a good program, or whether they're copies.
If I'll get lucky, I'll find a joint in this pocket. No, nothing. Too bad. It's always good. You never know when you find drugs from one of the roadies.